Scott Talley from the worldwide headquarters of Network in Action. Today, we're Mr. Jason Lee, my longtime friend with Exponent. Jason, welcome. How you doing?
I'm excited to be here, Scott. I'm a huge fan of NIA and love getting the opportunity to talk to you. It's always fun.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, we met several years ago. Jason was a member of the Network in Action group north of Houston and Woodlands, but I talked him into coming inside the loop. I didn't talk him into coming inside the loop, but certainly when I realized you were here, I wanted you as part of our team. So we're glad to have you. Let's jump in and talk about Exponent, because you've got a lot of experience in the financial world, but you chose to go to work and partner with Exponent. Tell me about that decision and why.
Well, what's funny is I had done it before, and what I realized when I was running around as a financial advisor the first time is that the majority of my friends and that I wanted to pursue and the people that I wanted to work with were entrepreneurs. And more often than not, when I would approach them, I almost had like a limited supply of tools and resources that they could use. And one of my favorite stories is one of my best clients. It was actually the last person I ever approached when I was basically about to leave the financial industry the first time I tried it. That's a long story. It's part of my testimony. Anybody's welcome to ask me about that. But I had said, okay, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to ask this guy for his money. And you know, if he takes me, I'll be his guy. If not, I'm going to have to go back and go back to corporate America. Well, I remember him saying, Jason, I love you. But you just, there's not a lot you can do for me. You know, I'll let you manage my wife's little old teacher retirement account, but you know, just what you do doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for me because I'm an entrepreneur and I need entrepreneurial services. Now, fast forward that 2 years after that removed, I started with my company, came in, brought him down to the firm. And he was one of my very first clients. And the difference being is that we were able to step in, really help him value his company. He had owned and operated with a ton of real estate, and he had it everywhere. So he had money everywhere and investments and strategies and tax advisors and lawyers, and everybody was working, but they weren't working in concert. And so what we did is really take all of these tactics, pull them all together for one really clear strategy. And since then, he's been a great referral partner of mine. He's loved the planning and been very, very satisfied.
It's awesome. So when I was over there visiting, I really got an education. So let's try to give people an education. When someone comes into Exponent, you guys have lots of resources. So take us through like a journey of different ways you would help an entrepreneur.
Well, okay. Well, let's just take it to the things that probably matter most to them, right? The number one thing is their company. The company is really, for most entrepreneurs, it is their biggest asset. It usually is the thing that funds and fuels their other investments, and or it might be the one asset that they're really relying on to fund their future, right? It could be that they're planning to transfer that asset to somebody else or to a third party. But more often than not, business owners, they get into the business to create a lifestyle. They want to create money and they want to have a nice lifestyle. What they don't realize is that lifestyle is part of their legacy. And more often than not, they haven't put the right tools in place to make it an effective part of their legacy. So the first thing we look at is a business valuation of the company. What's it worth? What would somebody pay for it, right? But also more importantly, what does it need to be worth for them to achieve their goals and their dreams? Because nobody said, hey, I'm going to start a company so I'll have a job. They wanted to start a company because they wanted to create jobs. They wanted to create opportunities. And more importantly, they wanted to find a way to get out of working so much in the business so they could actually enjoy life and do other things. We have a saying in our office, our clients don't retire, they just do something else, right? Because they get out of that business and get into something else because they're entrepreneurs. It's what they do. So the first thing we do is we look at the business through business valuations. Second important thing that we look at is people. More often than not, people are the biggest asset that asset managers don't talk about. Right? Because without your people, your company really doesn't have anything. And the old saying, 80% of the work comes from 20% of the people, right? Well, that's pretty much holds true. All your top players are usually your people who are either going to be your next generation, your succession plan, and or depending on the company, you really can't sell the company unless those people go with it, right? I had a guy call me the other day and he says, oh, so I could just get this multiplier. And I said, well, it's kind of not how that works. Let me ask you a question. If you're gone tomorrow and you get your multiplier, the guy buying the company, what does he get? Because the last time I checked, everybody buys from you. And he goes, oh. And I go, so we have a problem. We need to find you a replacement, right? We need to find Scott 2.0 then how do you retain Scott 2.0 without giving them equity right away? We build retention plans so that you can go find a Scott 2.0, reward, retain them, get them to think, act, and operate like an owner. And then over time, he can earn equity, but you don't have to hand it away right away. And then if you were to sell the asset, you can sell the company and you can even sell the people along with it as part of the plan, which is a really great way to transition your company. So that's one of the things that we look at. And the last thing we look at is really the comprehensive tax planning. Not only just for today, but over your lifetime. We're one of the few people who actually do future tax returns. So my clients can call me, I can pull up every one of their holdings, every one of their assets, liabilities, and I can even look at the future taxes that they're going to pay if they were to perform to the metrics that they want to achieve. And then this helps us reverse engineer strategies, whether it be for their personal wealth or for their estate. And we look at both inside the company and outside the company for their tax planning. So really all encompassing and tying it back to their estate. So that's, predominantly who we are and who we serve.
It's awesome. So you can help an entrepreneur sort of get the wheels in motion to get the company ready for sale, figure out the valuation, figure out what they might get for it, help them on the tax side when they exit, because they don't give too much away. We only want to give away what we're supposed to, right? But what about actually taking it to market? Do y'all actually help businesses as well?
Great. So I'm glad you asked that, Scott. We are licensed investment bankers, so we could do it. But what we found is because of the high touch nature of our business and our desire to want to work hand in hand, side by side, and in the trenches with our clients, a lot of the work that goes into that, we will farm out. So I like to think of us more as a general contractor, and then we bring in the subs. So as an example, we're CPA licensed and we do tax planning, but we don't do taxes. We don't want to be in the weeds of taxes. So I work with either their CPA or I outsource to one of my partners. When it comes to taking the company to market, now, if it's an internal transition, that's something we can help with. We'll help guide and walk through that process with them. We have an entire process for that. But if it means, hey, we get them to a point and they say, hey, I'm ready to go to market. I have a group of individuals that I'm willing to work with. And then I also have met some great members of NIA who also represent and broker companies. And so what I would do is get them ready to go and then go walk them into the right person that could help take their business to market for them.
Very cool. I'm going to ask you one more question because it's so important. I know that business owners will be listening to this. This is your baby. I mean, this might be the only time you really have an exit that's making a fundamental difference in your life and the life of your family when you sell a business. What's the biggest mistake you see people make?
Well, the old saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the next best time is today. I think for the most part, it's people wake up and they go, okay, I'm done with this. Whether it be COVID, whether it be, the recession, right? Whatever kicks them in the gut. And then they say, that's it, I've had enough. And then they decide to take it to market. Well, whenever you've had enough, it's kind of like when your house, right? If you're going to sell your house, you don't sell it when there's deficiencies with it, right? If you know you're going to sell your house, you want to maximize the profit. You start systematically doing things. This year, you might change the roof. This year, you might update the cabinets. The next year, you might, change the flooring. Then you sell your house. But if you go to take your house to market because you go, I'm done with this neighborhood. I'm ready to move. And then you go put it on the market and it's got 1990s stuff in it. Guess what you're going to get? You're going to get a 1990 price for that house because someone's going to pay a discount. So people do the same thing with their business. The amount of phone calls and conversations I've had, and what's unfortunate is that business is almost like a child to them. I mean, if you think about the blood, the sweat, the tears, the things that go into it. So there's so much emotion tied into it. And then to have to look at somebody and say, hey man, I know you need 2 million, but it's worth about 800. And then they go, but my friend can get 2 million. I said, no. What has to happen is somebody's got to come in and they got to spend, $500,000 up to a couple of million to get your business worth what you're trying to get for it. And so they've got to come in and fix everything that's broke. And so if you start early and really think of it like this, you should always plan with the exit in mind, right? So if I'm building something, I've got to build to sell. I've got to build to leave it. I've got to build to go to the next generation, unless you plan to just die at your desk. But I don't think anybody has any intention on doing that. So That's probably the biggest mistake is doing it, thinking that they can sell quickly if they haven't planned.
Yeah, not being prepared
Yeah.
to put the process in place so you get the maximum value. It's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Yes,
Jason,
sir.
where would people reach you if they would like to reach you by email and phone?
Okay, so the easiest thing to do is call me on my cell or text 832-384-3180. Then my email is JLEE@exponent. That's EXPONENT x.net. And then I'll also, I'm a big LinkedIn user. So if you want to connect and follow me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to support you. And I do want to say one last thing. When it comes to our business, Scott, I know that timing is everything. And so what I would tell you this, and part of the reason I joined NIA, because NIA is so good at this. My skill and my role before all things is as a servant. And so while I stand here as the vice president of Exponent Advisors, and you've interviewed me on all the great things that we do, the first thing that I want to do is be able to connect people to what they need. So if you reach out to me and it's not time for what we do, that's fine. I'm going to plug you in. So on my LinkedIn, it says if it involves money or people, we need to talk. Not because I might be able to do the business with you today, but because I'm going to work through NIA. I'm going to work through my other resources, and I'm going to find what you need. That's the most important thing. Is I want to be a solution, a problem solver, and a connector for you.
Awesome. Give us that phone number one more time.
832-384-3180.
Jason, thank you so much for taking some time. Awesome. Good to learn from you.
You too, man. Appreciate you.